I spend quite a bit of time speaking to homeless people. I don't do it in a formal way, I don't do it professionally or with any organisations, but very often when I'm out and about in London, and there's a huge growth in the number of homeless people living on the streets in London, I just go and spend a bit of time talking to those people. I think if you want to understand a problem, you want to get to its root cause, you've got to go and speak to the people that are suffering from the problem to really understand it. There was a particular incident that springs to mind. We were on holiday down in Cornwall and we were sitting by a river estuary at a pub having some lunch, and I noticed there was a guy who looked pretty dishevelled, and he was sitting on a bench overlooking the water, and he had his trousers round his ankles and he was sitting there looking pretty depressed, and people were obviously walking past him, looking at him, wondering what on earth was going on. And so I went and sat down next to him and had a chat with him, trying to find out what was going on in his life. And he explained his story, which was that he'd had a successful business, which he'd worked incredibly hard at, and he'd put all the hours that he possibly could into it, but he'd neglected his family life, and his wife eventually had given up on him and left, and his kids had rejected him. And then he'd lost his business and he'd lost his house as a consequence of breaking up with his wife. And he'd gone to live on the streets, and he was clearly in a pretty bad way. And I asked him, I said, what are you trying to achieve? And he said, and it was quite interesting the answer, he said, I'm trying to hit rock bottom. I could kind of understand what he meant, because as he told his story, he was talking about the fact really that he'd built this life for himself. He'd built a family, built a business, bought a house, but the shifting sands, there was nothing solid in which he'd built. It all fell away. And I think that's what he wanted. He wanted to hit rock bottom, and because he felt that once he'd hit rock bottom, he could then start rebuilding his life. So I gave him 20 quid, and I said to him, look, you got your trousers around your ankles. If this isn't rock bottom, I don't know what is. And I suppose I'm just telling that story because homelessness comes from a number of different causes. Some of it is economic, some of it is mental health issues, but very often they're very much linked together. People who are vulnerable to mental health issues, when they're in a difficult economic circumstance, that can trigger a situation that they just don't know how to deal with. We need to provide a system that enables people to get back on their feet as quickly as possible.
To follow my campaign, please follow my Facebook page or Twitter feed. You'll find links in the video description or on my website. I'm standing against the 3 Conservative, Labour and Liberal Democrat candidates to deliver a proper Brexit and fulfil our democratic vote. If you visit my website, you can subscribe by email to receive updates throughout my campaign. Please help spread the word by sharing or retweeting this video clip. Thank you.